Hello. Hi, Lucky. How are you doing? First of all, a warm welcome to Cloud Sprint. I hope you're doing awesome.
Hi, Pushkar. Yeah, I'm doing good, and thanks for inviting me to this channel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for agreeing to do this because we are just such a small channel and people don't agree to do interviews quite often. So thank you for agreeing to do this.
no, I think I would appreciate the way you're doing because it'll be helpful for basically it'll help other candidates. So thank you very much, man.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Lucky, can we get started with a brief introduction or your journey, how you started from college and how you got into cloud engineering, now working somewhere in US. So, yeah, I mean, your
Yeah,
background.
of course. Yeah. So I can give you the background, like how I basically move, from college to this tech industry, and then how I get this opportunity, in the cloud. So when I was in my college, so I got selected in one of the MNC company called NEC. So when I was fresher, so they basically onboard me into one of the Java application project where I need to work on the struts and then do some Java JS programming, and then after 4 or 6 months, I realized this is not a future for me because I'm not because you have to understand, like there's a lot of people are already working in this area, right? And then everyone is Java developers, so you can't really get the um, get the money and then all like fame and all those stuff, and then like attraction on those area. So at that time, they have an internal opening within a a company, like, so they have multiple project called, they have some research project, they have some cloud project. And so at that time NEC was researching and then exploring the cloud area at that time, and I think it was in 2014. So they were basically exploring like a cloud, how they can migrate the things from the data center to the cloud. So there's a one small team working on that, and then no one was willing to do that because everyone was like, no, I don't know what's the future for that project or blah blah blah. So at that time my manager basically gave me opportunity, if you want you can go into that. So I basically go to the opportunity, and then opportunity was basically to explore the private cloud, which is called OpenStack. So yeah, so at that time I choose that, and then I'm really glad I choose that path, because that path basically opened a lot of opportunity for me in my career. So at that time I was working on OpenStack, and then I was exploring the Python, because the most of the open source things in the Python at that time. So yeah, that was the biggest move in my career. And then I realized later on, when I was basically working in the industries, there's a couple of things like a public cloud, GCP, Azure, AWS. The most of the companies started moving their data center, like the application from data center to those public cloud. Then I started learning those, GCP and then Azure, those areas. Yeah, so that's all about my journey, how I basically choose this path.
All right. So that's how you got into cloud.
Yeah.
And how about that? I mean, when you moved to US
Hmm.
doing the same stuff, how can you take us through that journey as well? How
Oh
it
yeah,
happened?
definitely. Yeah. So when I joined Dunnhumby, I basically joined as a GCP cloud engineering team. So Dunnhumby is basically focusing to migrate their own platform from on-prem to GCP in the public cloud. So I joined Dunnhumby in Gurgaon basically, and then I've worked almost like 3.5 years in Gurgaon office. My company basically opened internal opportunity for that same particular role, and the skills was same, basically like cloud, GCP cloud, and then Kubernetes stuff, how you basically create your platform and then deploy your application within a Kubernetes. So that's why I basically apply for that particular role within a company, and then they basically shortlisted my resume for the same skill, because I was working almost like 3.5 years in the same with the same skill set. And then there was like same interview process. Basically, one of the technical guy from the US basically took my interview, and then gone through all the stuff what I did, what I want to willing to do in this role. So that's all about how to get the opportunity and then how to.
Okay. Okay. And how was the interview process in this migration?
It was pretty much same, but I would say it'll be different, like for internal company, because if you know applying for a different company, they basically ask about your skills, right? Like like GCP and then cloud GCP, Azure, and then Kubernetes. But if the opportunity within a team, within a company, they ask you about, like, you know, GCP, Kubernetes, but they also ask about your product, because you're already working in a company from last 3.5 years. So they'll ask you about more product level stuff, like how you basically migrate, how you're going to migrate this product, because you're working in this company from last 3.5 years, so you know about the product, those stuff. So that was more about the product and like, you know, the cloud and then services, Kubernetes stuff.
Awesome. And how's life going in this?
Yeah, it's good, and it's pretty exciting. Because if you move from your home country to another country, you have a lot of stuff to explore. Basically, you have a lot of stuff to visit. So in US is a fantastic place. You have to you have a lot of, you know, places you can go, and then you can go and track and all those stuff. So I recently visited some places, you know, Chicago and New York, and then there's a lot of places in my to-do list too. So yeah, it's really fantastic thing.
No, so
Yeah.
you're loving it already.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what a cloud engineer profile is all about, what they do in the activities, and how it is different from DevOps or SRE.
Yeah. So in cloud, you know, there's a couple of roles in cloud industry. Basically, you have a cloud architect, you have, you know, the cloud developer, like cloud engineer developer, and then another team is like, you know, cloud ops, right? So the cloud engineer is basically responsible, you know, to develop whatever provided by the cloud architect team. So if they architect something like base infra, like the platform should be like this, and they give you some type, like a high level document, right? And then the cloud engineer have a responsibility to think about it, and then think about, you know, how to build this platform so that everybody can use within a company, right? So, and you have to be like, as a cloud engineer, you have to be make sure, like, to follow the security in the standard. You have to make sure your product, whatever platform you are basically building for your all the teams, should be cost optimistic. And also you have to pass on the information. You have to pass on, you know, the all the documents which is required for the cloud operation team to support your platform, because cloud operation team would be your first point of contact in that case. So cloud engineer is basically building, developing, and then make sure all the security standard, all the cost things should be in your platform things. So yeah, that's all about.
Okay. And also, what are the day-to-day activities look like for them?
Yeah, so for the day, like in my company, basically we do have, you know, like we follow the safe agile like things. So we do have a sprint, and we basically do the planning for all the tasks, like for our, like sprint by sprint. So we have a lot of, you know, couple of tasks, and then we divide it and plan those tasks, and then make sure to follow the sprint, and then work on those stuff to develop the stuff. And apart from this, we do have some time, you know, some issues in the production. So we also need to support that stuff, like as an on-call engineer or something like that. So yeah, this is kind of like a day-to-day, and then work on those stuff.
Okay. So if for a layman, if I understand, DevOps is more around building solutions, where cloud engineering is more on building platforms where these solutions will run.
Yes.
And then SRE is on getting that in production.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So next thing I want to ask about the skill set. So what are the skill sets you think are needed to, you know, be a good cloud engineer?
So first of all, I would say, you know, just forget about the cloud. You should make sure your base should be your base skills should be clear. Like you have at least a basic knowledge of Linux, right? If you are moving towards the cloud, so you have you know about what is ls-l, what is all those like Linux command at least, so you can work in the, you know, the cloud area, because you have to work on the Linux in the cloud. So you have to make sure your Linux skills should be clear, and you can do some scripting for some small tasks, because you're not going to write a code like to do some small task, and so you have to make sure the basic skills should be there. And apart from this, in the cloud, I would say just do not care about all the cloud, right? Like you don't care about like I need to learn AWS, I need to learn GCP, I need to learn Azure. Just focus on one, and then just make sure you understand what exactly the terminology, because in all the cloud the terminology is same. They're just a naming difference, nothing else. And apart from this, I would say like most of the companies working on automation parts, so you have to make sure you have like some bit of knowledge of infrastructure as a code standard. So it could be Ansible, it could be Terraform, it could be anything. Like you can write your own Python module to deploy the infrastructure, so it doesn't matter. But I think currently the most of the companies using Terraform and then Ansible stuff. So yeah, I would say that would be the good skill set to be have in your profile. And in terms of Kubernetes, because like when company migrated from data center to cloud, so they just realized, okay, we migrated from cloud, like from data center to cloud. They basically solve one problem, but like for the scalability. But if you migrate as it is from data center to cloud, it'll be costly because you'll pay for that stuff. So then now every company is thinking about to make the application containerize and deploy over the Kubernetes. Make the do not deploy like a single application over the VM. So they are now making containerized. So it'll be good to have the Kubernetes knowledge basically. So these kind of like a 3 or 4 kind of skill set which is required to work in the cloud space.
Okay. Can you also help the people who are watching this podcast about the resources which they can follow to learn all the tech choices you mentioned?
So I would say you can follow some documentation over normal Google, and then you can watch some Udemy courses, and you can watch some Coursera courses, and then you can watch is for the Kubernetes some CK and all those stuff. But I would also recommend to follow the videos you are currently making, for the GCP cloud, right? That'll be awesome to start. Like if someone is starting the career and someone is thinking, to start moving into the cloud, I would say to go through your videos. That'll be very helpful because you are basically covering each and every bit. Like from starting from project creation, how you can create the project in GCP, how you basically org structure and all those stuff. That will be good to follow the cloud sprint, basically the GCP associate, the course you are currently making. That will be good. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for the shout out. Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
One thing I want to ask is more around somebody who is watching this podcast. Okay, maybe they are already working in this space or want to move to this space. So, what is your advice? Somebody who wants to move to, suppose, US, still working in India. What kind of difference you see in the work culture, in the job requirement between India and US?
Yes. So the biggest work culture in US, they basically work early and then leave early. So they basically start like 6 o'clock. When I moved to US, I was a bit surprised because I used to go in an office like 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock in India. But here it's like 6 o'clock. And then the reason is why they start early, because they have to make sure to collaborate like all the team, like UK. Because if you have a global team, so you have to make sure all the teams would be in sync. So the US have no option. They need to be early, and then they need to make sure have a meeting with all the global teams. So the biggest culture difference is basically early work and then early leave, those stuff. And then apart from this, I would say in US they are very straightforward. So you have to make sure whatever you are saying, you have some research around it and you have some proof around it. It should not be like approximate thing. So they need some proof. If you are saying something, you have to make sure you have some research on that particular whatever you are saying to them. So yeah, that's more about the US culture.
That's the cultural difference. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about the preparation? I mean, suppose somebody wants to try their luck in the various companies it has. So the skill set you already mentioned, the culture changes which will be there, the recruitment process you also covered. What I want to know is that how somebody can apply over LinkedIn, or what are the tools and methods to
So
apply it?
yeah, so you can apply, like you can apply in the link, like over the LinkedIn. There are a couple of opportunities, but to be very honest, I would be very honest with you. Like if you do not have a visa, right, US visa, no one will entertain you in US. So the best thing would be if you are working in a company where your company is basically a global company and they do have office in US or something. So the best and the easy way to apply the internal opening within your company, because company will basically support you because you're already working in that company. They know like how loyal you are basically. So you're already working like a 4 year or 5 year, right? So in my case, I was already working in my company like from 3.5 year, right? So I apply for the opportunity because they already know like what I'm doing and what basically how I'm loyal to my company, because I'm not gonna leave, the company. So they're basically gonna support you, and then they'll support you with the visa process. They'll support you with the whole the shifting process. They'll support everything. So I would say the best thing to the internal move within a company, and then you can get the easily opportunity because you don't need to find a sponsor or for that stuff. Because in US, if you want to apply for the opportunity, you have to make sure you have a sponsor, someone, and then there's only one thing you can like within a year they just have a one H1B lottery, and it's totally depend on that. If you got like your visa in lottery, then so it's kind of like a best thing to do would be like an internal apply and then go for that opportunity.
Yeah. But if somebody gets a sponsor, it's much easier process, right? If somebody has a sponsor.
Yeah. If somebody have a sponsor, if he get the visa like his lottery, then that'll be a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Provided somebody has visa, you need to know these skills which you mentioned is Linux, one of the cloud.
I mean, if someone already have a H1B or something, right, the working visa for the US, and if somebody already have those skills, he can definitely find a job in US because there's a lot of demand in US for that particular skill set. So you'll get it definitely.
Okay, awesome. So my one of the last question of this podcast is around the most awaited part, which is the salary range. So can you give us a bracket that what is the salary range offered in US, say 2 to 4, 4 to 8, what bracket?
So yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, Pushka, it's depend on the state wise here. Like in India, in India also have you'll get a different salary for the same skill set in Bangalore, but in Gurgaon you'll get a different salary. In Noida you'll get a different salary. So same thing in here. So if you are working in California or something, you'll get a bigger salary because the living expense is higher in that state. So in my example, I'm basically working in the Ohio state. So the living cost is as compared to other state is bit lower side. So it's depend on totally that part, like on your state and how it's work. So like if you are engineer, right, the cloud engineer is like 1 to 4 year experience, you'll get definitely around $100 something like that. And then if you are have an experience like 4 to 10 year or something, then you'll get somewhere around 150 like something dollars.
And that is per annum.
Yes, it's
right?
a per annum. Yes, it's a per annum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So one message which you want to give to the budding people who want to make their career in cloud, they're just starting out of their colleges or they are working some other field and they want to, build a career in cloud. What is your advice to them?
I would suggest in that case, just work on the basic skills like Linux and then basic programming skills, to just work on the logical programming skill, like any Python, Java, anything. It doesn't matter. And then if possible, for them, they can register for one of the course, any of the cloud certification. It doesn't matter, just to understand the basic and the terminology of cloud, right? So that'll be a good thing, and there'll be actually a plus advantage for them, because if they will go to any of the company, if they have a certification, if they know those terminologies, because no one in the like currently in the tech industry expect from the fresher, have a certification of cloud and all those stuff. So if they have, they'll be a good thing for them.
Okay. Awesome. So this concludes our podcast. Thank you very much, Lucky, again for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the session, and this will help you, a lot of people watching this video.
Yeah, thanks, Pushkar. Thanks. It was fantastic. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.